moment silence. Mother Walker, would you lead us, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner O'Rourke.
Present.
Commissioner Rexroth.
Present.
Chairman Westfall.
Here.
Commissioner Ross. Here. Commissioner Allgaier. Here. Commissioner Walker.
Present.
All present.
Thank you. This time we have public comments. First public comment, 3 minutes. Anything to do with the agenda topic?
Only one topic.
Thank you. Commissioner comment? The purpose of the meeting is discussion, potential action for the Leelanau Dam walkway and railing project. Mr. Lewis.
Okay. As I said in the EPS or the executive summary that I hopefully sent out last night, probably sent you the wrong one, but go through it again. The objective here, I've had time to rethink some of the discussion from last Tuesday, and I took the time to go through some notes, so I'm just going to go right through them. Understand that I've come back and I'm going down the straight and narrow of as it relates to competitive bidding, and at least the practice that I know that has been followed for quite some time in my career. Again, I'm expressing my thoughts and my opinions. You can do with them as you please, but I'm just going to share them out there with you. The overall objective of our dam, of the dam project, was the use of the EPA thermal modified ash or treated lumber, or SYP, in order to achieve a long-term durability with very low maintenance. The only two products that we had put out for the bid was EPA and the thermally modified ash product that we felt like at the time could meet at the time the bids were put out, that could meet that objective. So in response to the bids, as you've seen, responding to the base bid, which was the EPA product, you can see the numbers there. Following that, the low bidder for that project, with that product, was Easling Construction. The next response was to alternative number one, which we put out there as the modified ash product. We only had 2 bidders that fulfilled the full gamut of using the modified ash total. And so we feel like these were the only 2 that were a complete bid for at least I feel like it was a complete bid for our consideration. And you have those numbers. There was also a response to the alternative number 2, which was the treated SYP. You have those numbers. And again, the low bidder there was A-Ray Construction. Also, A-Ray Construction. There was an alternative to alternative number 1, which was presented to us by Easling Construction. And the reason that they modified their bid is that they were not able to provide or get from their supplier the 4x4s of the thoroughly modified ash post. So that's why they presented it. But as you go through the bids process and the idea of that, we didn't ask for any modifications where you would mix wood. So as I go through that, and as I thought about it and look back on things that in my past, I see that there are only really 3 options that I can present to you at this point. One option is to accept the low base bid from Easling Construction, which would use only the EPA product, which is a South American product and not as sustainable as other products. Yes, the trees can grow, but they take forever to grow, mainly a couple of lifetimes, I guess, but I don't know enough about it.
But the product itself holds up well if it's a post. So it's
That
not
is
sustainable, isn't, you're not questioning its durability.
Both of them, both the modified ash and the EPA, both will hold up.
Okay.
Some say up to 40 years, you know. So anyway, both of them will do the job.
Okay.
Option number 2 if you would like to use that, is to accept the low alternative number one bid of Fisher Contracting using only thurable modified ash, which is a North American product and is considered sustainable. Your third option that I can recommend to you, if you're not happy with either one of those, is to reject all the bids, rebid the project, permitting a combination of EPA, thermally modified ash, or other desirable wood products in the project, or other sole source wood products. We will need to if you want to do this, we'll need to go back and establish parameters regarding the use of each product, i.e. posting, decking. Where are we willing to switch these items out and do that? Now, well, I can recommend that as your administrator at this point. You as a board have a little bit more, as I used to tell folks, management guys that work, folks that work at me, they have a box this big they can work in. My box gets to be a little bit bigger. Your box is way much bigger than mine. So you all get to make these choices. So you do have an option if you like to do that. And that is your option, which I call number 4 at this point. You can accept the modified alternative number 1 bid of Easing Construction using a mixture of EPA and thermally modified ash. Now, this option should be considered only on the basis of being in the best interest of the county. You cannot use where your vendor is from, not for competitive bidding. We don't care where the vendor is, where they are located and what county they're located in. They could be out in California for all we care. You make a decision if it's in the best interest of the county. That's why I'm saying on the other one, that's, I get down on the bottom here. My recommendation, and it's my recommendation, nobody else's, is that you accept the bid as outlined in option 1 to utilize the single product, the lowest competitive price that meets our objective. It's kind of hard for me, as much as I would like to use the modified ash, I cannot look at you in the eye, especially when we've gone through the budget discussions, worrying about money, and telling you, why don't you spend $24,000 extra to use a product that's up here, when this product here will do the same thing. Will do the same thing. I know in circles that it is not economic. It's not probably the best thing to do, but that's it. Now, I know Commissioner Ross feels like there is a option of using the black locust. And I can tell you that there's been a series, I've given you a series of emails that's been swirling around since Sunday. So, there you have. All I can tell you is that going back, that if you look on the very last page, Easing Construction was contacted by Commissioner Ross about the use of this wood. And when Easing Construction then called our engineer, Mr. Patrick, I never can get his name right. Machin, that's right, Machin. And he said, about the use of black, they cannot get black locust. Their vendor has stopped using it, and because I'm going to use the quote, have stopped producing it because complaints for durability, warping, splitting, checking, and shrinkage. All other things were attempted. These were all things that we were attempting to avoid for this particular project. That's what we were attempting to try and do. There's my overview. It's your call to make how you want to proceed. But you cannot use, well, this vendor's local.
Steve, you're here representing the Leelanau Dam Authority as well. Do you have any comments before we open up for more discussion?
Yes. And this is kind of a caveat, if the board is considering the thermally treated ash versus the IPE. There were 2 companies that couldn't source thermally treated ash. One of them subbed in what they couldn't source. The other one just said I couldn't source. So in my mind, it opens up the possibility that Walton's only reason they said couldn't source was because they couldn't source the 4x4s. So in essence, that makes Walton just about equal with Easling, except they didn't sub in another wood. So if you're thinking of taking Easlings, I think I would really caution you to consider that in my mind, Dustin Schrader deserves the ability to sub in and make another bid. The final thing is that, you know, you paid Pat Mashin to clear the deck with the wood as best he could. I think he was very exhaustive. You paid him to do spec sheet that was extremely accurate. That there's a reasoning that we would have him be doing that. I love that he's doing that. I think we should continue to use him or someone like him with his reputation to make a really clean spec sheet. So you get really clean bids back that you can go apples to apples, not apples to oranges. Finally, Fisher built, well, Rusty built the dam. Rusty Friedel from Fisher. He was with Gerace at the time. And his expertise is outstanding. He kept the same crew with him when he moved from Gerace to Fisher. They'd walk through a wall for him. He's an outstanding person. I'm glad he's bidding, as is all of the others. All four are just totally outstanding. If you decide to take a non-clean bid, you're gonna discourage bidding. If you ever are discouraging bidding, you might not get a Rusty Friedel to bid on something that's extremely complicated. You know, we chose him to put the step in at the dam that kept Lake Michigan out of the control room. He came, he did it flawlessly. He came in under time and under bid. When he built the dam, the total rebuild of the dam, he did it through the winter. He came in on bid and under time. You don't want to get yourself in a position where you're discouraging bidding. Not that you have to take any one of these four, they're all outstanding, but really, you've got to take a clean bid or scrap it and rebid. And we've kind of been through this a little bit on Parks and Rec. You know, you get people to be doing bidding, and then there are other problems with Parks and Rec about getting it done and getting the bid out and getting the work done. But we've witnessed discouraging bidding at that front. And once you start discouraging bidding, it's a slippery slope. And I just would really caution you about that strategy. That's all I have to say.
And
Commissioner Lautner, and then.
let me finish one more thing. Future possible discussion. If for some reason that this board, or perhaps more likely the next board, decides that they want to make a preference inside of their bid documents for local Leelanau County vendors, we're going to have to redo our bid policy. You're going to have to determine at what level do you do that? Do you give them a 10% credit? Do you give? And most places, or at least my one main place, that was a discussion we had a long time ago at the city. And we said, no, we want everyone, I don't care where they're from, local car dealers, you got to give us your sharp pencil. And wherever they came from, that's what we did. That's not a decision I get to make, or your next administrator. That's a decision you all have to make. So, and I think you hit it, because you will not get, your competitive bidding process has gone out the window. So I'll leave it at that. After all discussion, tell us how you like it. And the motion that I gave you is following, that I put down here, is following my recommendation. You're subject to change anything you want, so we'll take it from there.
I've got a couple of questions. What does the SYP stand for?
Southern yellow pine,
Southern yellow pine.
treated celery.
And we did have public comment last week, ask us why we didn't consider a steel decking.
Slippery. The steel gets slippery and all that kind of stuff. It's just, and plus we wanted,
What can you slip?
but it was also, we wanted to keep with the same
As aesthetics.
The same aesthetics as what was there. That was the primary reason.
You put expandable metal and it's not slippery.
Well,
Expandable metal like that.
if that's something y'all want us to reconsider, we'll have to put it back out to bid.
Well, I don't know, I just thought it was a very valid point, because what is the lifetime of that compared to what we're looking at, the lifetime of this?
Yeah.
But,
But-
also then we didn't price trucks at all either.
No, our, that product has also gotten to whereby after a couple of years, the surfaces start to get slippery also. He did not trust it for what we were trying to accomplish for the long term.
Well,
He had a,
wood, and slippery isn't an argument in my opinion.
Well-
because wood decks are also very slippery.
Okay. Or composites.
this firm, this is Machin, this firm is not a proponent of this material, which be the composites. Composites have shown that they're consistently unpredictable in lifespan. Surfaces could be slippery to the public and have problems with appearance, sagging, warping, cupping, etc.
That was
More
also,
so than the natural wood
that was
products
Machin, that was
provided in the bid.
EPS or an ED,
It's interesting, because we haven't had any problems
EDS.
with ours.
I think what would have
Billions
to,
of board feet sold out of several vendors of that product.
I'm sorry?
Billions of board feet sold by several big
Yeah.
box stores.
Yeah.
Several users.
we'd probably have, and whether we'd have, it would need more support.
Okay, so-
It'd be a little different design.
Final question is, in your bid notes, if we go with the IPA product, that's the 108, that's a clean bid.
Correct,
for what you're
correct.
saying, because I think that Steve brings up a very valid point with bidding. And I think that it could be an extremely dangerous slope to change midstream. And the other thing is too, is I learned that I think all four of these companies have connections to Leelanau County, so we can't really go, based on that either, but I don't see why we couldn't go with the IPA from Eastland Construction at 108,000. From what I understand, the reason being, well, it'd be more than, the yellow pine is that it looks to me like it's much longer lasting. It's scored high from what I read on all of the things that they'd be looking for. So,
The product will last at least twice the lifetime of the southern yellow pine
yeah,
product,
which is
at
not
minimum,
much cheaper.
probably longer. As I said last week, I won't be around to judge it, so.
Commissioner Russ.
Okay, so again, I'm passionate about this, you guys, and I know this probably seems ridiculous to have all these conversations. Number one is I totally respect, our chair of our solid waste, our Leelanau Dam Authority. But I want to just bring out 2 points that if you, in our August 20th meeting notes, it was clearly stated that we wanted to look, the whole board, the whole authority decided that we wanted to look at black locust. That was August 20th. On October 2nd, we get a memorandum from Machin that talks about black walnut. So number one, there was a lack of communication from us to our man who we paid a lot of money to get a proper bid. So this started off on the wrong foot. I got this on October 2nd, and I freaked out and sent a ton of emails to Richard that I couldn't come to the October 3rd meeting because I had I told them I couldn't come and they were gonna meet without me. I said, no, I'm gonna try to get there because this is all wrong. The process has been flawed from the start, and I'm gonna take some responsibility for that. I can't be in 2 places at 2 county committees at meetings at the same time. I chose the one that was priorly scheduled, and so now we're here, I feel. ePay is not the product we should be using. I can't, every bone in my body and every single person I've talked with agrees with me. It is going on the endangered tree species list worldwide. It only grows in a very small region in South America. But even if that, we have an alternative, and we have experts that tell us we can do it. I did talk to Jason at Eastlane this morning, just to make sure that the construction phase of part of this is not anti what I'm trying to say. And he wants to work with us on a project. Or I'm sure if I would have called Fisher and Alray and Walton, I don't know any of those people, so I didn't call them, but I just got the feeling that I would like to suggest that this group, since it doesn't feel like it's a clean bid, if we could go back out and just maybe offer 3 products. The Southern Yellow Pine is a North American product, not South American. It's from Southern Michigan, Southern US. Black Locust, and keep eBay in there if you guys are intent on thinking that's the best product. It's not, but if you guys insist that it is, and you don't believe a forester, and in my community of people that tell us it's not. I just think to get the clean bid, I think I feel more comfortable going out, follow our minutes, follow what the project manager was supposed to start with, from the authority all the way down to here. Let's try again and see if we can get a better bid that's fair to all 4 companies or whoever else might bid out there. So I'm maybe naive about process, but I know in my heart, and I've been talking to the preservation fish town. It's important. Decisions like this are important. They chose hemlock, which they have to replace on a regular basis because that's what fish town started as. Sometimes you make decisions based on things other than price, or that a South American wood flown up here is going to last longer than something that we grow right in our backyard. I'm sorry, I feel like weighing these decisions is important to me, and I will not vote for eBay being on our Leelanau Ridge.
Unfortunately, we can't spend though an extra $15,000-$20,000 because this money's not ours. Just that's the only line. They're not our dollars to I don't want to use the word waste because I agree with you. I'd rather use something sustainable. But when it's our taxpayers' dollars, we have to be very, very mindful. So the 108,000 is e-pay with Ash.
No,
It's all eBay.
It's 720.
It's all e-pay.
all
Yes.
And Easling's 111 is just Ash for the posts.
It's ash,
Everything but the post.
everything but the post, which will be e-pay.
I would go with that one. It saves the most money for taxpayers, but it uses the least e-pay. And that is kind of a compromise, but at least we're not rejecting the work our companies have already, the bids they've already put in.
So first, I mean, I have been on the other side of this more than anyone in this room for 35 years, submitting literally hundreds of bids to both private and public entities, okay? I think, first off, I'm not endorsing your position to go out for bids again, but if you did, you would have to only go out and ask for a price on Black Locust, because everyone's already seen each other's bids, numbers, and everything else. So that would be the only thing that you can do that would be fair. Secondly, I have seen, I couldn't even count how many times I've been at a public bid opening. Every bid document, it contains a verbiage, we have the right to refuse and reject any and all bids. And I've seen it done repeatedly. You get a bid that's pretty close to a price, and this guy's from right next door, you have the right to take that. And I think anyone bidding from out of town who doesn't understand that someone's, and I'm not advocating for a position, this is just a general conversation. The fact that somebody's you know, you got a $150,000 bid and someone's 3% more, but they're in your back door and you know who they are. I've seen that happen repeatedly with no verbiage in a document about preference for local bidders, no verbiage about a certain amount. Just the fact that, like you said earlier, the board has that flexibility to do that. You don't need to say that in your bid document. Lastly, I couldn't find anywhere in the bid documents where it said no voluntary alternates would be accepted. It is not uncommon to provide voluntary alternates on bids, but you might see a cost saving or an issue like this. So I'm not sure that providing that voluntary alternate bid, everyone else would have the right to do that if they wanted to. Okay, so it's not like that. And so and that rejecting the bid thing, you have to be careful because you will at some point, if you're doing it for, reasons that are stupid, you're gonna throw away a ton of money to do something, or then you reduce your competitive bidding. This, I think, is a unique situation a little bit, but I guess, and I don't understand the objection to IPA as, I get it, but if it's the base bid material, that's actually the base bid. The rest of them are alternates. The base spec is written around that material. And if it was unacceptable, we should have never even allowed it. And I get it.
This is supposed to be allowed.
Yeah, I get it. But if I'm on the other end, I'm reading this document and I bid the what I would assume to be what you mostly want, because that's what you put on the top of your list. And I come in low on that, then you have to have a really good reason to not accept that, especially for something that's more expensive. You say, all right, this is what I really want, but I'll take a look at these two things. That's what that big document actually says.
Mhm.
And so the low bidder, based on the thing you really wanted, which again, with all deference to Commissioner Ross, I get that, but what went out really said that. That's what, if I was reading that document, that's what I would do. And so I guess I'm gonna agree with, I would support awarding the bid to Easling for the IPI project based on, and again, and that's just based on, again, I've sat on the other side of this a lot more than anyone else here, and I've seen all sorts of shenanigans done. And this to me seems to be within the best interest of everyone involved.
Commissioner Ward?
I have to ask my forester here. Remember, we modified ash. Where did we get the ash from? All my ash trees got killed and died a million years ago. I mean, I lost a fortune.
Yeah, no, the ash is great, but unfortunately,
It was.
but the modifying of it is not great. And there's nobody out there that's gonna tell you that's the best product. It's not.
And I would consider anything over southern pine because I replaced 2 of my decks within 10 years. It starts peeling, turning. You know, maybe I buy it at Lowe's or Home Depot, but it just, even tree, it does not hold up. And I know how strong black locust is, so I am, first time in my life, I'm literally confused. I don't have any.
So how does it modify? It's thermally, it's like heated up and like
Pressurized.
super, yeah. But the problem with that is that it just doesn't take it well. It's not the superior project. Actually, Southern Yellow Pine that's treated is better. Guys, I've been talking this all weekend. I can't tell you, Grand Traverse Regional Land Conservancy has decided that the cost difference between Ipe and Southern Yellow Pine is so great. You can get Southern Yellow Pine so much cheaper that they can put yellow pine in, knowing that they're gonna have to replace it cheaper than they can purchase the eBay. So people are making decisions based on a lot of different things, and I'm just asking this group to.
I mean, sorry.
Doug, and then Melinda.
Just real quick, I mean, you make a valid point. I mean, you look at the already said 69,000, well, that's a combination of a lot of work. That's not just the decking boards.
Mhm.
And so what exact portion of that is the decking boards and how it costs to come back and say, I want some decking boards replaced again in 15 years. I mean,
26,000 for black locust, and we never have to, all of our lifetimes put together.
but it's a valid point.
Commissioner Love?
I think when I look at all the prices here and when I look at the other information on the trees, and we've got the choice of a 30-year product that we can get it done for 108,000. I just don't see how, and keep our clean bid process in place. I think that's extremely important. And get a 30-year product that is available, as long as it is available.
get it done. So I would move that we accept the Easland Construction bid of $108,646.
Support.
Are you going also the rest of the motion that's on the, we're going to transfer funds?
Yeah, if I can find, yeah, we have a lot of information. Do we have a motion?
Funds to be
Yes.
transferred from the general fund contingency or fund 805, which is the dam.
Yes.
Using.
Discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have to-
Yellow pine.
So what are they using for this?
It's
a
pressurized
30-year
yellow pine.
No, it's
No,
not
it
pressure, it's not treated, it's natural, and it's a 30-year.
It's not treated.
FA is just a natural, naturally, it grows in a jungle and mud, basically, and so because of that, it's in rainforest, so it's naturally rot.
It'd be in a wet area, so we're all set. Moisture.
Makes sense.
Just for everyone's information, Epay is higher priced than any other product, by far.
Yeah,
Black
I,
Oak is cheaper.
I agree, I can't support the e-pay. None of it's,
I could make one final comment.
Yes.
Once upon a time, going back quite a long time, I don't have the minutes in front of me, but I think we had walkway on the radar, I think 2 years ago, might have been 3 years ago. And I went out and got a ballpark quote just to put a number in front of the county board with regard to a replacement, just a basic southern yellow pine, take off what we've got and put it back. That's where we started, and that's where our initial push was, without wood research. You know, that was once upon a time.
It was less
We
than-
got 18 years out of the last batch. Granted, Jerry is pretty adept with the screw gun and making sure that everything is safe. And yeah, that's probably not here and not there. It's way back in the whack.
Wasn't that something like, I mean, it was under 60,000.
I remember in your numbers were 66,000.
6,000 was
Well,
our.
that was, I think that included the roof.
I know.
But we added 20%, but anyway.
Yeah.
And now we're at double that.
Well, you're doing using a higher product too, so.
It was not asked for.
Well, again, I'll take my share, because the night that we had that discussion here, I was getting ready to leave for 4 days and be gone. And I might have sent him the wrong bird. Instead of black locust, I said black walnut. I was in here crashing out a memo to Mr. Machin, and I more than likely could have done that. But when I did follow up with him later on, and after he got bids, he said the issues with the product, in his opinion, was the same. So he didn't worry about that. That's why he put it in the memo the way he did. So I could take as much blame as anybody else here. I was trying to crank stuff out of here in a hurry to go home. And that's the night I think I left my cell phone and someone took it.
I remember that night.
Not that night.
I haven't commented.
It was in August, so.
I haven't commented yet, and I'm torn, because we've got both our administrator and the chair of the Leland Dam Authority saying that the bid process wasn't clean. And I understand what you're saying, Doug, that people can voluntarily substitute, but if it's not a clean process and we're not taking the advice of our consultant, I'm not sure we're ready to make a decision. And we hired Machin because they were good. And now they give us some advice, and our learned forester disagrees with their advice. And Jim and I agree, we don't know what to do. But I would prefer myself to start over. That's where I would.
So if you want to talk about discouraging bids, make someone do it 3 or 4 times,
You never know everybody's prices.
and you can't, you could, the only thing you could redo is some other thing, but everyone's seen each other's numbers on the rest of it, there's no way you can. I mean, if you want me to never bid you again, that is one thing, no, taking a voluntary alternate, taking a local bidder who's a little bit less, happened to me hundreds of times, never like it, but it's part of normal business. But publishing numbers and saying, okay, you guys try again, that's akin to a reverse auction on a website.
And all these numbers have been public
Right.
since two weeks ago.
There's no way you can go through, and I don't think we didn't have not a clean bid price. What we had is someone submitted a voluntary alternate.
And as I shared, that's within your preview.
Right.
As I told you in the beginning, I'm walking down a very straight and narrow path. I know I am in my first part of that. But I also know that elected bodies have they can take more into consideration that I can't. I just got to walk this straight path.
It'd be good in the future if you're not gonna consider that, to make sure our bid
That
documents
is-
say
you
no
are absolutely
voluntary
right.
alternates will be accepted. That should
I
be clearly in the bid document.
I totally concur.
Because I've been on the other side, hey, I don't think it's all specs, and I'll see someone throw a voluntary alternate at a school system and say, we substituted this light fixture from the specs, and it saved you 75,000. And guess what? They took that bid because that guy, and
Yeah.
there's a marketing department to do this. You're looking out for the end user saying, well, I'm looking at this engineer spec fixture, and I know there's a fixture that does exactly the same thing. It's 40% less. I'm gonna give him a voluntary alternate, let the owner make that decision, because he's not had it. So if you don't want to look at those things, you just got to say that to begin with too. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the normal process.
So
It doesn't
you
mean not clean bid.
I would agree with you. You can have that discussion after you've awarded a bid.
Correct.
So again, all this discussion would have been different if this would have stated the right species. So
Jim will work and then win.
I hate to do this, call the question.
Yeah.
Would you give-
Motion for easing for Ippy.
Yes, and I'm calling the question.
Well, I can't vote because I had one little question.
Sorry, I'm calling.
We don't have a second to that.
I'll second it.
Okay, a second. Okay.
All those in support of calling the question, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye.
Aye.
Or nay.
Nay.
Was that 3-3?
3-3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why couldn't we take Easling's bid for 111,600 and just ask them not to use EPA in the posts? Did they say they couldn't find posts in ash?
That's what it says.
No, they could not.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, well,
And that would even.
they're
even more
using the
complicated.
least EPA, so, and that's, other than the very lowest, that's a lower bid, and they're using the least amount of EPA. I don't like using EPA either.
Okay, Melinda, everybody gets one more and then we'll try Jim's motion again.
Well,
We don't need
it
it
all
to
goes
death,
back
guys.
to the best price for the county. So you go Southern Yellow Pine, you're gonna be replacing it in approximately 10 years. That is not the best bang for the price. If we're going to go with the wood product, the Eastland construction bid at 108 is the best bang for the buck for the county if you're going to go a wood product. And you're looking at 30 years. Everything else is going to be more costly in the long run. So if you're gonna do this, and we're gonna do it this year, that's our best bid. And the product itself is made for those conditions, which are wet. There's no doubt about that. They are wet conditions.
I'll circle back to, I think, again, based on the situation we're in, you have 2 alternatives. To go strictly for a bid on black locust only. Ask all bidders to provide a number on that, delay the project, and then take whatever risks there are there, that's up to us as a board. Or accept the Easling IPA bid. And at this point, I support the IPA Easling bid.
Anybody else?
I support the easily bid with mostly modified or whatever, treated ash and just UK posts.
That's my fault.
Okay, Melinda, your motion was,
To accept Eastland Construction bid at 108,646.
And funds to be transferred from the general fund contingency to fund the rate.
everybody understand the motion?
Did you just own that motion?
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought we killed
I
it.
second it.
All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I,
4-2.
I think it was 2-2.
In the product of that, I mean, yeah.
Huh?
We shouldn't be using all people. We should follow the process.
Pardon, what'd you say?
In 2
I
years,
agree, and
I wanted to use ash, I just said we shouldn't be using all these.
I agree with Tama, and it should, you know, but what do? You're gonna sit here.
You do an ash bin with a little bit of.
Any, we're now down to public comment. Anybody want to, give us public comment? Any, commissioner comment?
I love this group, it's nice, we just really do, I mean, I just like brother and sister, yeah, it's like, you know.
I respect,
Brother and sister, right.
your persistence and your values. Thank you. Any motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have 10 minutes for